video of 2020 Brozz for you today. Now I made a video for the 2018. This one is pretty similar, but a couple things changed around, so I wanted to make this video again. And I'm going to show you this one right here. I'm going to assemble this one that kind of got damaged in the crate, and I'm willing to bet that this unit is just fine with no issues. But let's see what we can find out. Now, a good set of cutters comes in real handy for cutting everything away off the box, and then all these wires that around the bike when you get it. This box right here that you get with it will have all your bolts, a lot of your foot controls, your mirrors, and your keys, owner's manual, and your battery acid in this box right here. Interesting. So now, really the only difficult part about whenever you get a dent frame or damaged frame the bike is usually fine. In this case, it just makes it so I can't get a easy socket around the bolt, and I'm going to need to be a little bit more creative with how I get that bolt out. But otherwise, the cage itself is coming apart just fine, and the bike is going to be just fine, like it would if it wasn't damaged. So. That is in there really tough. Actually. Old school. I'm just going to bend it. Does that give me enough room? So now you've got the bike fully uncrated. Alright, and at this point what you need to do is clear everything off and set it to the side so you can start your front end here assembly, okay? So that's what I'll be doing now. So now that this is all unwrapped, the front's ready to be start assembly. The back is too, and I usually like doing the front first, but it's really up to who's ever doing it. Definitely you could have two people doing this, one starting the front, one starting the back, and make it a lot faster. I set my plastics to the side. These are all the ones that come new in the wrapping that are on the bike already. Next up, we're going to tackle this box and get it open. Alright, so what comes in here, I like setting all the parts I'm going to use. I like setting outside too. Here's my foot pegs, mirrors, shift lever, kickstand. Here's keys, owner's manual, and that front ignition cover, and your bag of bolts, factory toolkit, and your battery acid. And then this is the MSO that comes in the box. You can toss this, you have no use for it. So I'm going to lay out these bolts over here, since I kind of can look at them at this point and tell you where they go. You can begin separating your bolts. You know, you got these two for the handlebars, and you've got 4 identical long ones like this, and these go in here. So let's find all 4. See, that's a shorter one, that's not it. 4 identical ones. There we go. Find that other shorter one while you're in here. These are your 2 front brake bolts for the front brake. So those are your 2 front brake, just a little bit shorter than the handlebar bolts. So I like sticking them that way they don't go nowhere. Alright, next to the kickstand, we can set the kickstand. Let's see, kickstand has the spring, the big brown bolt or green bolt, the green nut. There should be a lock washer right here. So I'm going to set those over there by the kickstand, because those are off to the kickstand. Next up, we got the handlebar. This is going to go on the handlebar. 2 green ones. 1 and 2. And they're your only small green 8mm bolts, so those are easy to do. The biggest nut here is your axle. And the spacer is probably going to be for the axle as well. And this washer is going to be for the axle. Okay, so I've set those right there. This is going to be for the shock. Here's your shock bolt right here. And there's 1 washer for it. And that is going to be for the rear axle, or the rear shock, lower rear shock bolt. Now you're going to have 4 of these. These are M6s, Allens. These are your rear foot peg bolts. So toss a washer on them, because they all need a washer. Here it is. Bam, times 4. Okay, these 2 long ones, these are 8 mils. I don't know, maybe a little bit over 1 inch long. There's only 2 of them that are this length, and you'll see when you get them out. These are going to be for the bottom of the lock cover, the ignition cover right there. These are for the bottom of that. So I know what those are. These 2 long ones, there's going to be 2 long ones and 2 slightly shorter ones. These are all for your front fender. 2, and those for your front fender, okay? These 2 8 short guys, there's 2 of them. Oh no, these are 4, sorry. These 2 really short ones, there's 2 of them. The 2 shortest 8 mils that look like this, these are for the actual instrument cluster, and where they mount to the top clamp. So set those aside. And then you got 4 for your rear rack. 2, 3, 4. Okay. those will need a washer and 2 nuts for the rear rack. Okay, next up, these last 2 right here are 6mm Allens. There's only 2 of them. These are going to be the bottom of the white ignition cylinder. So I'm just going to set those in the middle here. I don't know what this is for. I've never seen this come in a Brozz container, but you know, this place makes 100,000 plus motorcycles a year, so every now and then you're going to get something extra, and it's just going to be in there. These 2 right here are your fender bolts for the front fender on the side of the gas tank. You'll need a washer with each one of these, and there's the rubber washers that are probably going to be in that bag that you're going to use for these as well. Let's see. 2 of these are going to be for your reflectors on the fenders. Right here, there's going to be a reflector, and those 2 washers, set those aside for that. And then this last, there's going to be 3 bolts left. These 2, to be honest, those are always just extra unless I'm missing something. But this is my 4th 2020 bike, and I've done many of the 19s and 18s, and I don't know what these are for, so I just keep them as extra bolts. But this one right here, the slightly longer one, that one is the foot shifter. There's one, and that's it. So, and then so I just set, this would be my extra. I'll put these back in the bag, because I know they're going to be extra. I got my bolts broken down. I like doing them before I even get started. That way I can just see what's left. And like I said, I've never seen this before. No clue what that's for. We'll find out if that's needed. Hasn't been needed on the first 3 bikes that I assembled from 2020 models, but I guess we'll find out. So this guy, remember with the 2 right here, they're 8mm. And these go up through the bottom in the 2 corners. So next up, you'll want to do your lock cylinder. So you grab it, make sure you grab your 2 Allen bolts. These are the 6mm, and then the shorter 2 Allen bolts that are in your parts bag, or your tool bag. So now you got to snake your thing around here. Notice this is going to be off to the side. As long as I get it up this way, it'll be just fine. Get it in there. Make sure the key's going to be off. So it can only fit one way, so if you try doing it this way, it ain't going to work. It only fits in there one way. Get your bolt started. Now we're going to go to this. Get that in there snug, because unless you lose your keys or your bike gets stolen, you'll probably never be taking this off. Okay. Next thing I like to do, get my instrument cluster on. It's going to be these 2 bolts, and you'll be using the shortest 8mm in your bag. Alright, those 2 are on there, and that is now ready to go. They're already shrinking our bolts pile. Alright, next up, I think it's probably best to get your handlebars on. Alright, so the handlebars are 10mm. These 4 right here. I'm just going to sit on the bike. for right now. Keep my bolts and stuff right there. Let's see, get this up and going. Now you gotta make sure this is coming up here. Make sure those are coming up this corner. This is the time to get your routing correct on how you want to do it. Okay, so I'm gonna have it right there. Okay, now you just get them in loose. This is also the time to decide how you want to route your hose. I believe on the 2018 video I wrapped it around here. I'm starting to lean towards putting it over here and just securing it to the handlebar might be better. We're going to see what we do with this one. Just enough so they hold right now. Nothing too crazy. Alright, that's tight enough that they'll hold. And next step, before you tighten these down fully, you'll get the rest of your... And for this you'll need those two, that front of that clip, just that black one right there, and then you'll need a Phillips on the bottom. Alright, you'll want to get this in place first, and there's a hole where it clips in, and you have two bolts here, and if I remember right, they're the same length. Yes, they are. Hold them in place. Get them started. Now, I'm using all hand tools here. I'm not using anything power. You don't need a power tool to do any of this. It is faster, I will say that, if you have it. Grab these two. So that is going to sit right there. Make sure there's an up. Not critical, either way will work, but just so you know that there's letters there, make sure it says up so you don't look like you assembled your bike incorrectly. Now is the time when you're sitting on your bike you can adjust this perch up and down. Same thing with the other side brakes, up and down on how high up and down you want your levers to sit. So now that so this is basically just a ball of wires. The only thing you need in here is to find your headlight one, just right here. Okay. At this point in time, we can secure the turn signals and then do the headlight next for the turn signals, and the nuts are already on the wires for the turn signals. So you kind of, to get them perfectly even, tighten one first, then do the other one, so you can try to match it up, because once you tighten them they kind of shift. Alright, my lights are on there. Now I can use these are all routed how I want them, up to the side over here. I have my brake wire on this side, I'm coming down and around. To get our headlight on, we got these bolts right here. There's 4 of them, they're all 5mm. There's a washer and then the rubber. I like pulling the sticker off now because if it gets stuck, to reach back there you gotta take it off again. This hooked up in there first. Alright, now you kind of cover everything back up. Pull the protective rubber casing for all the connections back in there. Shove that back where it needs to go. Get all 4 started. Oftentimes these are a little bit off. This headlight, pull screws in. If it ain't going in right, it's probably because it's hitting the bag of wires funny, so you gotta adjust it. Alright. Now the cool thing about these is that once they're in, they kind of adjust to shape a little bit. But getting them in sometimes can be difficult. That headlight's on. Guy next. The rack's pretty quick and easy. Here's the rack. And grab the 4 bolts and the washers. These front ones are a 10, and these ones under here are going to be an 8, and just snug them down. A Fender, and we're going to need these 4 bolts right here. So in my experience thus far, the best way to get this Fender on, it's still a little bit difficult, but not quite as bad as the 19 was. Throw the back 2 bolts in first, because this one's already on, the bracket's already on. Throw the back 2 bolts in first, and then do this one, the left front, and then the right front, because most likely the front 2 are shifted this way. So you push this over, get that one in, and this one should just line up by itself. Back 2, 1, 2. And then all you need is a bolt and a washer. No bracket this year, and then should be good to go. As you see, I got the back 2 in. Now I'm going to do the front ones. If I look on this from the front, you can see the tube is just off to the left. Not much on this one, just a hair. It might need pushed over by hand when I'm putting it in, just a little bit. My hands get sweaty, so I use a black glove to hold my extension as I push these in. Otherwise, I don't have enough force. Alright, that one's in. Now I'll get the other one in. Alright, so they're in. They ain't tight. Now I just need to snug them all down. I'm going to do the front ones first, and the back, and then come back to the front. Now you see, now that everything's tight, by tightening this, it brought it to closer to the metal, so it's square now. And honestly, unless you crash, or are removing the triple tree, you're probably not removing this. So once they're on there, they're on there. You'll definitely need those washers though, because otherwise I don't know how well it'll hold. So I grabbed the 2 bolts, washers, and remember your rubber washers are in your owner's manual bag. This So now this unit is as done as you can possibly get without getting it up in the air. So at this point, if you're by yourself, you're gonna need to figure out, get a jack or something to get it up in the air. It's just a little heavy to do by yourself easily. And floor jack, ATV jack, lawnmower jack, all of them will work. This one right here is a nice motorcycle push-up jack. So we're just gonna bring it up. A jack like this makes it real easy. See, I just hold it now and I'm going to twist it down. And it'll work. Bolts through, put your nut on, tighten that, and that's good to go. I'm going to get the back half completed. You gotta use your 5mm and drop the rear fender. So that's down. Now I got plenty of space to tighten these. But before we do that, we're going to get to the 2 nuts right here for the seat. At this point in time, you can disconnect your remote start if you're one of those people who don't want it. Otherwise, you can peel this off and stick it here. I'm going to leave it unstuck at the moment. Alright, that seat's on. To get the studs for the seat back on right here. So the seat's back snug. Once the seat's on, there's nothing under the seat other than that remote. No storage, nothing really for maintenance. At least nothing you'll have to do anytime in the near future if it's a new bike. So your battery's behind here and that comes off sideways. So now I'm going to get these on and then I can put my fender back on. The back half is now complete, and it's not even off the stand yet. That's what we're looking at right now. Let's look at that. It was the right level. So while this is up, I'm gonna get these two on here real quick. So this just took that one bolt that I set aside before. And it's gonna be a 10mm. Get this down so you have some guidance on where to put this. Obviously you can readjust it at any time. One thing you don't want to do is try to crush this in there when it's not in that groove, because then you might have some real work ahead of you. So it should slide in nice and easy all the way until it just needs screwed in lightly by hand. Okay, I'm going to put it at that level right now, and then get your 10mm and get it tight. It just come out the back. Alright, I just noticed that I still need to do the rear foot pegs. So let me grab those right here. Alright, as you can see, we're getting pretty low on stuff. Just a couple things for the kickstand, the mirrors. We've got brake bolts, caliper bolts, and the 2 butt nuts here for these reflectors. Let's grab these four. Go to the other side. There's a lock nut. Right, let's get the bolts in. Point, you just gotta get the wheels on, and one, it's rolling. Two, there's only the wheels and the fork guards left after this.
Yeah, it's easier to take a little piece and go to the parts store and get however much you need. It's way cheaper than paying shit.
And that's gonna go get it in the grooves, and then little dimple, it's gonna go right there. Alright, that's in. Make sure this is coming to the front. That's good right there. Front wheels on. Get your Phillips screwdriver. You're going to need a Phillips and an 8mm to adjust these fork guards. When it comes to the left side, the brake side, but as you'll see how I do it, that'd potentially be the only spot for it. That is technically how it could be done. Get that thing in through the little groove on top right there on the white collar, and then once that's in the groove, you can line up those and put your screws in. As you see, when it's done like that, see the hose comes up, hits that rubber in the middle. And then last thing you gotta do, that's already in there, move this big hose through the clip and then tighten up this white collar right here. Now on this side, so we're gonna try to get, just like the other side, take this right here, run it through the bottom of this right here for the hose. Okay, so this bike is done everything but the kickstand spring, and I'll do that once it's on the ground. What I'm going to do for this particular unit, I'm going to take one of those straps, these long zip ties that come in the package, and I'm going to zip tie this brake hose to the handlebar right here, just to make sure it don't get in the way. Perfect. Last thing left is the mirrors. We're going to do that right now. Springs on. You would take this off, hook up your battery, and put the juice in, and start it up. But there, 2020 Brozz 250 in red. Ready to go.